What is going on, everyone? Jeremy here from MTG headquarters, and it looks like we're going to have a double upload day. Well, this morning we got a look at the new Amonkhet mechanics, and there's a little bit to talk to on that topic. However, I want to start with a look at the new Amonkhet trailer. Thought it was pretty interesting. I do have to give it to Wizards. I think each new set, the trailer they released, looks pretty baller and gets me always pretty excited for the newest set. Let's take a look at that now.
One from many, by force of will, forged by might, driven by fire, born by death, to rise eternal.
Okay, now that you're thoroughly hyped, let's look at some of the mechanics. The first we're going to look at is Embalm. This is a very simple mechanic. It's written right on the card as example, Anointer Priest. It's a 2-mana 1/3, pretty vanilla. Although it has this Embalm mechanic, which essentially for 4 mana allows you to return this card to the battlefield, only it becomes a zombie in addition to its other types. So it's a very flavorful mechanic. I definitely like what it's doing. It's no more than just pay the embalm cost, return this to the battlefield. If it is relevant in terms of managing your graveyard and if you need zombies or something. But it's definitely going to be a good card for Limited, because Limited's all about value and managing your resources. So if you can cast each one of your creatures multiple times, that's 2 times your opponent has to deal with it, and so on and so forth. Then we have Exert, a pretty simple yet elegant mechanic that came out with basically, as an example, we've got Amonkhet Crusher, where it's a 3/2 haster for 3, which is already pretty good for limited play, but you can activate its Exert mechanic, which flavor-wise says some god gives it a chance to take a break, but in reality, it allows you to trigger whatever its particular Exert mechanic is. On this card, it says, you may exert it when you do, target creature can't block this turn. So, pretty nice. The only drawback to Exert is it stays tapped for an additional turn. So if you need to get through for that additional piece of damage, getting haste as well as being able to tap something down for 3 makes me think Amonkhet Crusher is going to be pretty good in limited play, and that's probably why it's at the uncommon status. Then we have Aftermath. This is these janky looking split cards, but once I understood a little bit more about their flavor, I thought it was pretty cool. So we have Destined and Lead. Now these are written as the word 2 is in between them. So we have Destined to Lead, right? Pretty simple. You can cast your Destined card as normal. So for example, this is a 2 mana, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible end of turn. Great. Then it goes to your graveyard. The lead part of the card is completely irrelevant until it's in your graveyard. Then you can cast the lead portion, which says cast this spell only if it's in your graveyard, and now we have all creatures able to block target creature this turn are able to do so. I actually think Destined to Lead is very aggressive, a nice aggro alpha strike card, And the Destined part, it's almost like if you're playing kind of a beatdown deck, you're going to want to cast Destined early so you have lead later for, you know, to make all the creatures block your worst creature and then Alpha Strike with everything else once the board goes wide. We also had the return of Cycling, a very popular and very strong mechanic that simply offers an alternate thing to do with the cards that have it. So we have Limits of Solidarity, there are lands that have Cycling, all sorts of things like that. For example, on Limits of Solidarity, for 4 mana, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, against haste till end of turn. I feel like Act of Treason cost 3, so this costing 4 is interesting. But it does have Cycling, which means if it's sitting in your card, kind of as a dead card, you can pay 2, discard it, and then draw another card. So this serves a lot of purposes. 1, you can use it to fill up your graveyard if you need to do that. 2, if you draw it or you're sitting on this card late game and it's not the solution you need, you can pay 2, discard it, and draw a card. So Cycling is a very powerful mechanic. It's seen in many modern decks. It's a high value mechanic, and again, for late game, especially like at your pre-release where, you know, you're going to have long stretches of games, cards with Cycling that are like mediocre or maybe just for early game but have Cycling, so that you can say, well, this isn't going to be relevant to me early in the game, but if I draw, or it is only going to be relevant early in the game, but if I draw it later, now I can just cycle it and draw something else. I think it's pretty good. It also lets you maybe play a few less land if you want. And we have, of course, -1/-1 counters, no big deal. That's just a part of every mechanic of every set. But this particular set, you have enchantments that might make things worse for somebody. For example, Nest of Scarabs, which says whenever you put 1 or more 1/1 counters on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insect creature tokens. So you can do all sorts of interesting things with -1/-1 tokens in this set. This will be interesting to see. Most of the time you find these mechanics relevant in limited or EDH play, but maybe we'll see something come up in standard. Then we have Trials and Cartouches. So on Amonkhet, initiates earn cartouches, as a record of their deeds and accomplishments. So when we look at Cartouche of Solidarity, it's a 1-mana enchantment that says, when enchant target creature control. When Cartouche of Solidarity enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has first strike. So you pay 1, give something 1/1 and first strike. That's pretty good, I guess. But then you get a little dude. You can make a dude as well. It'll be interesting to see how these work. You can look at Trials, for example, like Trial of Knowledge, which says it's a 4-mana enchantment, and it says, when Trial of Knowledge enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then discard a card. When a cartouche enters the battlefield, under your control, return Trial of Knowledge to owner's hand. So you could have some pretty degenerate interactions going on here. So, I don't know. Clearly, Wizards has doubled down on flavor in Amonkhet. What I'm most interested in hearing is what you think about these mechanics. What do you think about the trailer? Are you getting excited for the new set, which comes out April 28th, pre-released the week before? Hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around. Make sure you hit the bell on my account so you get notified later, because I'm going to have a whole new video about spoilers. See you later.